Hey guys, and welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn about another type of layout. But before that, let's just discuss a very important concept related to screening measurements in Android. As you surely know, we have different kinds of Android devices, which may differ in their screen sizes and pixel sizes, and therefore different pixel densities. But what does that all mean? In a brief introduction, a pixel is the smallest unit of displays, screens, or images. It's the square that you see when you zoom enough into some image. When calculating the pixels in a single inch, you would have a value called pixel density. A higher pixel density means higher quality and sharper images. Different screens may have different pixel densities, and if they are the same size, each inch in their screen might fill different amounts of pixels. Now, imagine we have this layout, and it fits perfectly in our medium-sized Android device. Now let's try to view that layout on a tablet device. See the difference? Rigid and scaled views. So how we can handle this? Create different layout for different tablets, but do all tablets have the same size? If that was true, do all have the same pixel density? Well, it's not ideal to create hundreds of layouts of a single screen for different devices. And here comes a virtual pixel unit called DP. So DP stands for Density Independent Pixels. Measurements provided in DP makes the UI design appear the same on physical screens with different screen densities. Additionally, there's another unit called SP or Scale Pixels, which is similar to DP but is used for text sizes to adapt user preferences and accessibility. Anyhow, let's just move to today's layout, which is the relative layout. Relative layout, as the name suggests, it places the children or the views relatively to each other or to their parent. It creates a bond or some kind of a relationship between the views and the layout that holds them, just like a family. The relative layout is not commonly used as much as the linear layout, as it was defeated by the later layout called constraint layout. However, as Android developers, we should be well informed about different approaches that were used to create UIs. That's why today we're going to create a simple UI using the relative layout. Good job following along in the last video creating this UI or login screen with the help of the linear layout. What we're going to do today is to create this UI here, which is just a dialing screen with some number pads. So here, let's just start from scratch, deleting every view within the linear layout and change the linear layout to a relative layout. And now let's start with creating our number pads. So I'm going to make it a text view. The width and height are wrap, and the text here is going to be 5. See, our 5 is placed at the very start of the screen. Now we are going to add some background to this view by adding the background attribute, and here you can give it a drawable or a color from the colored XML, or just add your hex color value. So here I'm just gonna choose this black color here from the colors and open the color picker from here and choose some light tone of the gray color. And now I want to add some spaces around the 5 here, so spaces that has the same background. So whenever you want to add some space within the bounds of a view, you use the attribute padding. As you can see here, we have some variation to that padding. The first one adds spaces in all directions around the 5. Horizontal adds at the start and the end, vertical at the top and the bottom, and the rest are just self-explanatory. So here I want to make a rectangle around the 5, so I'm gonna choose the horizontal one, and here I'm gonna add 16. You can see all the possible units that you can use. Don't use pixels, use DP instead. So here you can see it adds 16 dp at the start of the 5 and 16 dp at the end of the 5. Now we are done. Let's just create the rest of the views. So here I want to create 4. Start with the 4. I'm just gonna choose this, make this 4. You can see 4 is placed on top of the 5. So by default, relative layout places children or places views on top of each other unless you specify or determine where these children should be placed within the parent. But before doing this, we have to distinguish between the different views. So we have to add something that distinguishes between different views, and that something is called an ID. So we have to add an ID for this view here by adding the ID attribute. The way to declare an ID for a view is by adding the @, then the +, type ID, /, and here you type your desired ID. So I'm just gonna give it text 5, text_5. Similarly for the text 4 here, ID attribute, @+ID, then /, and give it our desired ID, which is going to be text 4. Now I want to add the 5 here to the center of the parent, which is the layout. So here we have an attribute in relative layout called center in parent. So once you type center in parent, you're going to see it and make it true. And you can see 5 is just placed at the center of our parent. Now we want to place the 4 here just before the 5. So to do so, we have an attribute called layout align, or layout align to right or align to left. And here you can see we have all the possible attributes for the relative layout. What you want to choose is align start here, and you can see here comes the benefit of having an ID. We want to align this view to the start of the view that has this ID, which is the text 5, and you can see it aligns the start of our view to the start of the 5 here. But this is not really what we need. We have to use another attribute, which is called to align start to start. You can see layout to start of. It just aligns the end of our view to the start of the other view. And what's left is to make them on the same line by using the attribute called baseline or align baseline. And I want to align this view to the baseline of the text 5. And now here it's aligned with the 5 text view. Cool. Now let's create other views. So I'm just gonna copy this over and put it here, and I'm just gonna change it to 2 because I want to make the 2 texts 2, and then make this one 2, and I'm just gonna delete every placement attribute, and now it moves here. Now I want to put 2 above the 5, so I have to use the above attribute, layout above the 5. You can see it's above the 5, but it's not yet placed correctly. What we have to do is to make the start of the 2 to the start of the 5. So I'm going to use align start and give it the target, which is the 5. And you can see it's aligned just on top of the 5. Now let's just create other views as well. So I'm going to create number 6. So number 6, I'm just going to choose this to make it 6, this one as well, and I'm going to delete every placement attribute. And here our text view, we want to make it at the end of the 5, so I'm going to say to end of the layout attribute to end of the 5, and you can see 6 is just at the end of the 5 or at the right of the 5. Then I'm gonna have to put them on the line, so align baseline with the 5. Now let's create other views. We have to add the 8, so 8 here, 8 for the text, delete the replacements attributes, and it's going to be just below the 5, layout below 5. then the start of it going to be at the start of the 5. So going to use the align start from 4, align start, I guess, align start. Yes, align start. Now let's just add some spaces around this. So we could add some spaces by adding the layout margin attribute to any of the views, and it will just add more spaces to just try to experiment with the 5. So if you type margin here, you would have to say to see all the all the variations of the margin. And you can see if we add some margin to the left, the value is going to be 16 dp. You can see just it adds 16 dp to the left of the 5. I can also try to make it end, just add at the end of the 5, maybe top as well, just add the top of the 5. You could just add top and left and right, whatever you want, just a combination of these possible or these attributes together. What I want to do is just to add the margin, because it will add margin in all directions. So margin 16 dp will add 16 dp to top, start, end, and bottom all together. Now I'm just going to increase the text size of the 5, maybe other number pads as well. So text size here, gonna give it 26 with sp. So text size, make sure always is going to be sp, not dp. And maybe gonna increase this one to 32. Yeah, it looks cool, 32. Yeah, so we're just gonna copy this from here and paste it on top of this one and this one as well, this one as well, just all the views, this one as well. That, and this is our final result. Now what we have left is to add 1, 3, 7, and 9. Now let's just copy this and try to make the text view 1. This one is going to change to 1. Here I'm just going to delete the placement attributes, and I'm going to make 1. This must be a text, and now 1 must be at the start of the 2. So I'm going to say align start to the 2. No, not start, align end to the start of 2. Yes, and I'm gonna have to put them on the same line by using the align baseline attribute and just give it the value of 2. And here what we have left to do is to add some margin at the end of the one text view. So I'm gonna say margin end, and here I'm gonna have to add 16 dp margin. Now let's just move back to creating other views. Here number 3 is going to have the same baseline. Number 3 here, let's just delete these. Now number 3 is going to be at the same baseline as the 2. The only thing is that we have to align the start of the 3 with the end of the 2. No, align the end of the 3. Align end with the 2. No. Just you have to experiment with values. I think to end of 2. Yes, correctly, to the end of 2. And finally we have to add the margin left or the margin start. Left and start are equivalent, but we use start for the left and end for the right, just to support RTL screens, like the languages that start from the right, which are aligned right rather than aligned left, like the Arabic in this case. Anyway, let's just add margin start to add margin start to this view by 16 dp. And now what we have left is 7 and 9. So I'm just gonna make them quickly. Now I'm just gonna delete the placements, and 7 must be below, in this case below 4, so below 4, and it must be start of 4, so line start of 4. Then we're gonna have to add some margin on the top, so margin top is going to be 16 dp. And finally we're gonna have to add the 9, so 9, here is 9, and the 9 is just at the bottom of 6, so align below, not bottom, below 6, and it's gonna be start of 6, line start of 6, and just some margin top here, 16 dp. Now let's just add the other views. So in the original picture we had an edit text just on top here, so I'm gonna make a new edit text here. Wrap, the width is going to be match, the height is wrap. Now hint, just say type a number, and here I'm gonna have to give it some spaces from the start and the end. But before that, I want to align this edit text with the parent. So the hub of this edit text is going to be aligned with the parent, and the start of this edit text also as the end, as well as the end of the edit text is going to be aligned with the parent. So to see all the possible values or all the possible attributes to align a view with the parent in relative layout, you just type parent and you can see all the possible attributes. So I want to align the parent start true, align parent end true, and finally align parent top true. Now I want to add some spaces, so margin top left and right, I'm just gonna choose margin here, and with some 16 dp. Maybe I'm just gonna increase it to 64 dp. Yep, this looks fantastic. And finally I'm just gonna create the icon and place it on the bottom here. So let's just create the icon. I can also create it here. Let's just add the text view, so our image view, get the image view, wrap, and you cannot see it because it just doesn't have any. Make it 24 dp, and I'm gonna align it to the bottom of the parent, so align bottom to the parent, no, align bottom true, align start of the parent true, align parent and also true. I'm just gonna close the view. You can see this is our image view, but it doesn't have any image. So to add an image, you can add the src attribute. Now we don't have any images within our activity or within our project yet, but we are going to make an image, or we're going to make an icon. So the way to do this is by adding right click, choose new, go to vector asset, and here I'm just gonna, you can choose any icon that you want to generate. I want to add the coal icon, and this one, okay, I'm gonna name it IC_coal. IC stands for icon, and it's going to be icon, okay, 2424 black color. I'm just gonna click next, and here it just tells you that it will be saved under main robo. So I'm going to click finish, and it's here somewhere under robo, this one. Cool. And now I will preference this icon from our XML by adding the add robo IC_coal attribute, and you can see it's here just underneath. Let's add some margin bottom, like 64 dp, and we have finally created our desired output, or created our desired number pad. So I hope you enjoyed in this video, and I highly recommend you to keep on experimenting and creating different UIs, just in order to get comfortable with the attributes and get comfortable writing your own views and your own layouts. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.